Tensions between China and the U.S. remain high. A people's tribunal in London is currently looking at the human rights abuses happening in China against the Uyghur Muslims as public support grows for an independent U.S.-led investigation into the origins of coronavirus. And joining us on this Monday morning for more on this topic is the author of The Coming Collapse of China, Gordon Chang. Gordon, good morning. Nice to see you again, bright and early.
Good morning, Rob.
So the Uyghur survivors, several of these modern-day Chinese concentration camps that are still in existence right now, they were speaking over the weekend about their experiences in these camps. Take a listen.
The guards in the camp, they didn't treat the male prisoners as human beings. They were treated less than a dog. They couldn't walk out the door in a normal way, but they have to crawl out and crawl in. They enjoyed watching them being humiliated.
All right, Gordon, it went on and on like that, really vile stuff. The goal of the meetings is to try and officially determine if what's happening in China right now is actual genocide. What do we know right now about what's happening there?
Well, we know that there are forced birth control, forced sterilization, as some of the witnesses talked about. This is genocide, and it meets the definition in Article 2 of the Genocide Convention. So this is going to be important because there's going to be well, first of all, there is the Genocide Convention of 1948. It requires countries, including the United States, which is a signatory, to prevent and punish acts of genocide.
Right.
They will report, this Genocide Convention tribunal will report in December. And that means it's going to be before the Olympics scheduled to be held in Beijing in 2022. This is going to create a confrontation with Beijing over the location of those games.
You know, it's interesting. We're starting to hear more buzz about the Summer Olympics in Japan, a little over a month away now. And those Beijing Olympics it's February 2022, so literally right around the corner. I'm not convinced we should be celebrating, down the road from where this is all happening with the Uyghur Muslims. On Twitter, the Chinese Foreign Ministry, and generally they don't weigh in on things like that, but they said the Uyghur investigation is not a legitimate body. What effect, if any, do you think this will have on sort of the general narrative surrounding what's happening in China? Because I don't think a lot of people know about some of the atrocities going on there.
Yeah, this will change things, and it will force countries to make determinations of their own. The United States has done so. Secretary of State Pompeo did that on January 19th of this year. The Biden administration, the State Department, has affirmed that determination of genocide. But the Biden administration hasn't done anything about it. What this tribunal does, even though it's unofficial, even though it's not backed by any government, it puts pressure on governments to do something. And I think that that's going to be important, especially because of the timing of this. And we're going to have all sorts of issues that governments are going to have to face, which they prefer to avoid. Basically, this tribunal is doing the work that governments should be doing.
Gordon, we've talked a lot about the coronavirus and where it came from. Even Secretary of State Antony Blinken says that China does need to be held accountable. Take a listen to what he had to say.
We have to get to the bottom of what happened. There's accountability, but from my perspective, the most important thing and the most important reason we have to get to the bottom of this is that's the only way we're going to be able to prevent the next pandemic, or at least do a better job in mitigating it. What the government didn't do in the early days, and still hasn't done, is given us the transparency.
Okay, so you've got to kind of chuckle at the change of tune over the last 60 days or so from the administration, but how much faith do you have in the Biden administration's ability to really get an answer from where this thing came from and then do something about it?
Yeah, I really don't. Although on May 26, President Biden ordered the intelligence community to report back in 90 days, and we're all waiting for August 24th, we know that the president is not curious about it. He spent 2 hours on the phone call with Chinese leader Xi Jinping in February, and by Biden's own admission, he didn't raise the issue of the coronavirus, which has now killed 597,000 Americans. So I don't think there's any real pressure from the top. And I think that 90-day report was really intended to delay matters, because we're seeing so much information right now that is creating political pressure. Tony Blinken's own State Department spiked that investigation into the origins, as was reported on the morning of May 26. So I think that this whole thing is going to be really driven by pressure from the American people. If there's pressure, Biden will do something. If there isn't, he'll just sort of slough it off.
Yeah, but that pressure is starting to build, and I think that's a very positive thing for all of us. Gordon Chang, good to see you. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Rob.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.